any question, you can ask me. So my first question to you is, the booklet mission and all of that, let's keep that aside for a minute and let's just talk about reading. When did you first, discovered reading? Like, पहला book कौन सा था, उस पे से start करते हैं. And when did you realize कि, reading is something that's interesting? ये कब discover हुआ?
Okay, I would like to divide the question in two parts. The first book of my life, which I remember, not the one जब से होश संभाले है, but when I was a child, and my mom handed over a book, Sani Guruji's Shamchi Ai. It was in Marathi, and I fell in love with that book. Short, simple stories about the relationship between a mom and her son, and some great morals. And then came Chacha Chaudhary, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White, stories of Rabindranath Tagore, Malgudi Days, Robin Hood, so many. But I think that, I would say, as children, we fall in love with stories and not books as such. We love those pictures, those characters, the big font size. I think the turning point came when I started identifying myself as an avid reader, and I understood the power of reading habit was after my 10th exams. My elder brother, who is way elder to me by 12 years, and he came to me with a serious face during my summer vacations and said, Amrut, you are now growing up, you should start reading non-fiction. And that term was completely new to me. I said, what is non-fiction? I said, I'm reading books, right? No. There is a different genre called non-fiction which may not have stories in them, because I believe books means only stories. So, and you get to learn a lot from these non-fiction self-help books. And I casually said that what was I doing for last 10 years in schools? I was learning. Why again learn? And he said, no, these things are not taught in schools and colleges. I said, what? With the shock of my life. Why? And when I asked him why, he said, I don't know. Because he was also too young to answer this difficult question. But he gifted me that one book that day, my first non-fiction book of my life, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure all the viewers must have heard about it, read about it. A bestseller in non-fiction genre. And after reading that book, I went mad on my teachers, my parents, that during my 10 years of education, nobody even discussed about money matters, about passive income, active income, why rich people become rich. Not because they are smarter than you and me, because they understand the science of money, that how to make money work for you and don't work for money. Yeah.
True.
And then came The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, Chanakya Niti, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. And since then, I think, I became an avid reader.
So, about Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence Other People. I read that book recently, and, if you remember our first meet, we had a bit of an argument about some Donald Trump book, I guess, something like that. Yeah. And that day I read like the first chapter of the book, and he said, don't argue. And that crushed me to my core. I was like, how can you say don't argue? My whole life has been argument. And then when he explains, in small examples. कि ट्रक बेचने वाले का क्या हुआ, आर्ग्यूमेंट ना करके इसका क्या हुआ, उसका क्या हुआ. And that made me like, okay, आज से आर्ग्यूमेंट करना कम करना है. बंद तो कर नहीं सकते, पर कम जरूर कर सकते हैं. So now I have decided कि yes and so बोलना चालू करो. हाँ तो और क्या, ये बोलना चालू करो. And that has helped me a lot. And you rightly said कि non-fiction से बहुत ज़्यादा समझता है. And my first book was also Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I was like कि why is सब लोग पैसे क्यों छुपा रहे हैं मुझसे? मेरे पास पैसे तो आ नहीं रहे हैं और पैसे बनाने को भी कोई नहीं सिखा रहा है. So that was one. Now coming to